You're sitting alone in your dark living room at exactly 2:14 a.m. The only light comes from the cold blue glow of your wife's phone resting in your trembling hands. The house around you is completely silent, yet the sound of your own heartbeat feels deafening, like a war drum echoing inside your skull. You never wanted to become this kind of husband. You never wanted to doubt the woman you had chosen to spend the rest of your life with. The woman who stood in front of 200 guests on your wedding day and promised you forever with tears in her eyes. The woman who looked straight into your soul and whispered, "Ethan, you are my safe place. I only want you for the rest of my life." But tonight something felt violently, terrifyingly wrong. Your thumb hovers over the screen for what feels like an eternity. This is your last chance to put the phone down, walk upstairs and crawl back into bed beside her. Your last chance to keep believing in the beautiful life you had carefully built together over 6 years. Your last chance to stay blind to whatever truth is waiting inside that hidden folder. You open it anyway, and in that single frozen moment, every foundation of your marriage collapses into dust. There it is, a video, recorded just 3 days ago. Your wife Sarah is looking directly at the camera with a smile that used to make your heart skip. She is wearing the red lace lingerie you bought her for your last anniversary, the same set she once told you made her feel beautiful only when she was with you. Her voice comes through soft, breathy, intimate in a way that instantly turns your stomach into ice. "Hey baby, I can't stop thinking about last night. When you had me against the wall in that hotel room, God, it felt so much better than anything my husband has ever done to me. I told him I had a late client meeting again. He believed me, just like he always does. He's so clueless sometimes. I actually love how easy it is to lie to him." She laughs, that familiar melodic laugh you used to live for. The same laugh that once filled your home with warmth. But now it sounds sharp, cruel, like broken glass scraping across your skin. Then she leans closer to the camera and delivers the line that rips your entire world apart. "Send this to me later. I want to watch it when he's sleeping right next to me. It makes everything feel even hotter knowing he has no idea what I've been doing." The man she is talking to is not a stranger. It is Mark, your best friend since college. The man who stood beside you as your best man on your wedding day. The man you trusted with your deepest secrets, your business struggles, and your most vulnerable moments for 15 long years. The man you called brother without hesitation. Your hands go completely numb. The phone slips from your fingers and lands softly on the carpet. You sit there in the pitch-black living room, staring into nothingness while the video loops silently in your mind, each word carving deeper into your chest. The shock is so intense it feels physical, like someone has reached inside your rib cage and squeezed your heart until it threatens to stop. This story is based on real events that happened to a man just like you, and every piece of evidence you are about to hear is painfully, undeniably real. This is not just another story about cheating. This is a story about calculated long-term manipulation. The kind where someone you love slowly turns your trust into a weapon and uses it against you for years without you ever noticing. The kind where the person sleeping beside you every night has been building a secret life that makes your entire marriage feel like nothing more than a convenient cover story. And what I discovered in the days that followed made the betrayal even more devastating. My name is Ethan Brooks. 6 years ago, I believed I had found the kind of love most people only dream about. Sarah entered my life like a warm light on a cold day. She had that effortless beauty, soft brown eyes that seemed to see straight into you, a gentle smile that made you feel instantly at ease, and a quiet kindness that wrapped around you like a blanket. We met at a charity gala downtown. I was there representing my growing tech startup, nervous about networking and pitching to potential investors. She was volunteering, moving through the crowd handing out water bottles with genuine warmth. We started talking and hours disappeared. She listened with real attention. She remembered small details I mentioned in passing. My favorite coffee order, the name of the dog I grew up with, how much I hated being stuck in crowded elevators. By the end of that night, I was already falling hard. 3 months later, I proposed on the same rooftop where we had shared our first real conversation. Fireworks painted the sky above the city. She cried happy tears and held onto me tightly, whispering against my chest, "Ethan, you are my safe place. I want to build everything with you. A home, a future, a forever. Just you and me against the world." I believed every single word with every fiber of my being. Our wedding was beautiful. A garden ceremony surrounded by family and close friends under strings of soft lights. Her father walked her down the aisle while she looked like something out of a dream in white lace. Mark stood beside me as my best man, raising his glass during his speech and saying with genuine emotion, "Ethan and Sarah are the real deal. The kind of love that lasts forever, the kind the rest of us can only hope to find." For the first 4 years of our marriage, life felt almost magically perfect. We bought a comfortable house in a quiet suburban neighborhood with a backyard big enough for future children. I poured everything I had into growing my tech company from a small startup into a respected firm with real traction. Sarah worked as a freelance marketing consultant and was always there when I needed her. She supported me through long nights of coding and stressful investor meetings. She cooked my favorite meals when I came home exhausted. She surprised me with weekend trips when she sensed I was burning out. She told me every single day that I was enough, that I was her rock, that she couldn't imagine life without me. And I trusted her completely, blindly, without a single shadow of doubt. That is the dangerous power of deep trust in a relationship. It makes you ignore the small inconsistencies, because questioning them feels like betraying the bond you cherish. It makes reasonable explanations feel sufficient even when something deeper is wrong. Then the cracks began to appear, so subtle at first that I convinced myself they were nothing. Sarah started working longer hours on what she called big client projects. She would come home later than usual, sometimes flushed and energized in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. She joined a new gym and began going 5 or 6 times a week, returning with a glow that made her look younger and happier. She upgraded her phone for work efficiency and suddenly added a password she had never used before. When I casually asked about it, she laughed lightly and said, "Baby, it's just so I don't accidentally post something embarrassing or unprofessional. You know how clumsy I can be with technology sometimes." I laughed along with her. I told myself I was being paranoid and insecure. I wanted to be the trusting, secure husband who didn't snoop or question every little change. So I pushed the unease down and focused on my own work instead. Mark also started coming around the house much more frequently during that same period. He told us he was going through a difficult divorce and needed support. Sarah was incredibly understanding and kind. She would make extra portions of dinner for him, sit with him on the living room couch for hours, listening to his problems while I worked late upstairs in my home office. I actually felt grateful. My best friend and my wife getting along so well felt like a blessing, not a warning sign. Looking back now with clear eyes, every single one of those moments was a red flag I deliberately chose not to see. Then came the night that ripped the blindfold off completely and forced me to face the truth I had been avoiding. I had flown out for a business trip that was suddenly canceled at the last minute due to a scheduling conflict. I decided to surprise Sarah by coming home early instead of staying in the hotel. The house was quiet when I pulled into the driveway. Too quiet. Sarah's car was parked in its usual spot, but all the lights downstairs were off. Mark's truck was parked 2 houses down the street, an odd detail, but I told myself he must have stopped by to drop something off or talk. I walked inside quietly and immediately heard soft laughter drifting down from the upstairs guest bedroom. The sound was low, intimate, familiar in a way that sent a cold spike through my chest. The guest room door was slightly ajar, just enough to let a sliver of warm light spill into the hallway. I moved closer without making a sound, my footsteps silent on the carpet. What I saw through that narrow opening destroyed me in ways I still struggle to describe. Sarah was wearing nothing but one of my old college t-shirts, the one she liked to sleep in. She was straddling Mark on the bed, her hands tangled in his hair, kissing him with a hunger and passion I hadn't felt from her in years. His hands moved under the shirt, pulling her closer, possessive and eager. The way she moved against him spoke of comfort, familiarity, and desire that had clearly been building for a long time. I stood there frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe, unable to process the scene unfolding in my own home, in the guest room we had decorated together for future visitors and family. Sarah moaned softly against his mouth, her voice breathy and full of raw need. God, Mark, you feel so much better than he does. Every single time. I can't get enough of you. Mark chuckled, low and satisfied. Careful, babe. If Ethan ever finds out, he'll lose his mind. Poor guy still thinks you're the perfect little wife who only has eyes for him. She laughed again. That same sweet, melodic laugh that used to fill our home with joy. He has no idea. He's so busy building his precious company that he doesn't even notice when I come home smelling like you. I told him I was at a late yoga class tonight. He believed me again. He always believes me. It's almost too easy. The words landed like bullets. Each one tore through the image I had built of our marriage. I backed away slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last, until I reached the living room. I sat down on the couch in complete darkness and waited, my mind spinning through 6 years of memories that now felt like elaborate lies. 30 agonizing minutes later, Sarah came downstairs. Her hair was messy, her cheeks flushed, her lips slightly swollen. She looked satisfied, content, alive in a way she hadn't looked with me in a long time. She saw me sitting there in the dark and froze mid-step. Ethan? You're home early. I thought your flight was delayed until tomorrow morning. I looked at her calmly, my voice surprisingly steady despite the storm raging inside me. How long? She blinked, trying to maintain the innocent expression she had perfected. What are you talking about, baby? I stood up slowly. How long have you been sleeping with my best friend in our own house? The color drained from her face completely. For one brief second, the mask she had worn so perfectly for years slipped entirely, revealing the panic underneath. Then she tried to recover, eyes filling with tears that glistened in the dim light. Ethan, please, it's not what you think. It was a mistake. It started during that really rough patch when you were working 80-hour weeks and I felt so lonely. Mark was just there for me. It didn't mean anything. I love you. You're my husband. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. Please don't throw away 6 years over one stupid mistake. One mistake? The video still playing silently on her phone proved it was far more than that. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't scream or throw things around the room. The anger was there, white hot and burning like acid in my chest, but something even colder and more dangerous was rising beneath it. A quiet, focused resolve that felt almost peaceful in its clarity. Get out, I said quietly but firmly. Ethan, this is my home too. Not anymore. Pack a bag and leave tonight? She cried harder, begging, promising on her life that it would never happen again, and that Mark meant nothing to her. She tried to reach for me, to touch my arm. I stepped back. Eventually, she packed a small suitcase with shaking hands and drove to her sister's house. Mark called me 15 times that night. I never answered a single call. I sat in the dark house until the sun rose, replaying every single moment of our marriage in my mind, wondering how many times I had been the fool while they laughed behind my back. The next few days were a blur of pure emotional hell. The initial shock gave way to a deep, crushing sadness that made even simple tasks feel impossible. I cried in the shower where no one could see me. I stared at our wedding photos until they made me physically sick to my stomach. Every happy memory, the vacations we took, the anniversaries we celebrated, the quiet nights she fell asleep in my arms after telling me I was her everything, now felt poisoned beyond repair. Sadness slowly hardened and transformed into something sharper, cold, focused, strategic rage. I refused to fall apart publicly. I refused to let them see me broken. They had already taken 6 years of my life, my trust, and my peace of mind. Now it was my turn to take control of the narrative. I hired the best private investigator in the city without telling anyone. Within 2 weeks, he delivered a file thicker than a novel. It contained dates, hotel records, text messages, videos, and financial trails, showing Sarah had been secretly transferring money from our joint account into a separate one she shared with Mark. They had even been apartment hunting together, planning their new life after she left her clueless husband. The final devastating detail came in a text Sarah sent to Mark just 2 days before I caught them. I can't wait until he's finally out of the picture for good. We deserve to be happy together. He'll get over it eventually. He always does. He's so predictable like that. That message killed whatever remaining love or pity I still felt for her. From that moment forward, I stopped being the heartbroken husband and became something far more dangerous, a man with a plan. I played the long game with ice-cold precision. I acted devastated in front of friends and family. I told everyone we were working through things and trying to save the marriage. I let Sarah come back to the house a few times to talk things out. She thought she was slowly winning me back. She cried beautiful tears. She apologized profusely. She promised on everything she held dear that it would never happen again, and that Mark was just a stupid mistake born out of loneliness. I smiled gently and told her I needed time to heal and process everything. Inside my mind, I was carefully constructing the endgame for both of them. I gathered every single piece of irrefutable evidence, every explicit video, every message thread, every bank transfer. I even obtained security camera footage from the hotels where they met regularly for months. Then I waited for the perfect stage where their masks would be ripped off in front of the largest possible audience. It came 3 weeks later at my company's annual gala, the biggest and most important event of the year. Over 200 guests filled the ballroom, including major investors, board members, key clients, and local press. Sarah insisted on attending with me to show the world we were working on our marriage and coming out stronger. Mark was there too, of course. My best man, my brother from another mother, my most trusted friend. The evening started with perfect surface-level normalcy. Sarah wore the red dress I used to love seeing her in. She held my hand in public, playing the role of the supportive, loving wife with flawless execution. Mark avoided direct eye contact with me, but kept stealing quick glances at her when he thought no one was looking. After dinner, I stood up to give the usual thank you speech to the room. The lights dimmed slightly. The crowd went quiet. All eyes turned toward the stage under the soft glow of the chandeliers. I smiled at the audience. Then I said the words that changed everything forever. Tonight I want to share something very personal with all of you. Something that happened recently in my own marriage. Because maybe some of you sitting here tonight are going through something similar and need to hear this story. Sarah's face went deathly pale. She tried to maintain a smile, but it looked frozen and terrified on her face. I connected my phone to the large projector screen behind me. The giant display lit up for the entire room to see, and I played the video, not with shouting or rage, just cold, undeniable facts. Sarah's voice filled the entire ballroom, crystal clear and unmistakable. "Hey, baby, I can't stop thinking about last night. When you had me against the wall, God, it was better than anything my husband has ever done." I told him I had a late meeting. He believed me like always. He's so clueless. I love how stupid he is sometimes. Gasps rippled through the crowd like a shockwave. Phones came out instantly. People started recording the screen. Sarah stood up so fast her chair crashed backward onto the floor. "Ethan, stop. Turn it off right now." I didn't stop. I let the entire video play until the very end, including her blowing the kiss and saying how much hotter it felt knowing I was sleeping right beside her afterward. When the video finally ended, the silence in the ballroom was absolute and deafening. I looked straight at Mark across the room. "You were my best friend for 15 years. I trusted you with my life. I stood up for you during your divorce. I called you brother. And you took my wife to bed and laughed about how stupid and clueless I was behind my back." Then I turned my gaze to Sarah. "You were supposed to be my forever. Instead, you made me the punchline of your affair. You took my love, my trust, my money, my peace of mind, and you threw it all away for cheap thrills while I was working to build a future for us." Sarah was crying openly now, real tears streaming down her face. "Ethan, please, everyone is watching. This is humiliating." "Good," I said calmly, my voice carrying clearly across the silent room. "Let them watch. Let them see exactly who you really are behind the perfect wife mask you wore so well for 6 years." Security quietly escorted both of them out of the gala while the entire room remained in stunned silence. By the next morning, the video had gone viral across business news sites, gossip platforms, and social media. Headlines screamed variations of tech CEO publicly exposes wife and best friend's affair at annual gala. Sarah lost every major client she had within days. Her professional reputation was shattered overnight. Mark's soon-to-be ex-wife filed for divorce the same week and took him for nearly everything in the settlement. His own company quickly distanced themselves. Several investors pulled funding from projects he was involved in. But I still wasn't finished with them. I filed for divorce on grounds of adultery and financial fraud. With the overwhelming mountain of evidence the private investigator had gathered, Sarah walked away with almost nothing. The judge froze our joint accounts and awarded me the house. She had to sell her car just to cover her mounting legal fees. The sweetest, most satisfying moment came 2 months later. I purchased the apartment complex Sarah and Mark had been secretly viewing together for their planned new life. I sent her the listing with a simple, quiet note attached. "You wanted a fresh start with him. Now you can watch me live it without either of you in it." 6 months after that fateful night, I stood on the balcony of that same apartment, now fully mine, overlooking the glittering city skyline at dusk. Sarah had moved into a small, modest studio apartment on the other side of town. Mark was broke and living with his parents again, his reputation in tatters. Both of them had become ghosts of who they once were, careers damaged, social circles gone, futures uncertain and dim. I raised a glass to the lights below and whispered into the cool evening air, "You took 6 years of my life and turned them into lies. I took everything else from you, and I did it without ever needing to raise my voice. I didn't destroy them out of blind, uncontrolled hatred anymore. I did it because they needed to feel exactly what I felt in that dark living room at 2:14 a.m., powerless, exposed, humiliated, and completely alone with the consequences of their choices. The best revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet. It's calculated. It's complete, and it leaves the people who betrayed you with nothing while you walk forward into a brighter future they can only watch from the outside. I rebuilt my company stronger than ever before. I met someone new, a woman who looks at me with honest eyes and never makes me question my worth or my sanity. Every single day I wake up knowing I survived the deepest betrayal imaginable and came out the other side not just unbroken, but stronger, wiser, and finally free. If this story reached deep into your chest and made you feel every second of the shock, the rage, the crushing sadness, and finally the cold, satisfying justice, drop the word exposed in the comments right now and tell me honestly. If you discovered your wife and your best friend had been betraying you for months or even years, would you have confronted them immediately in raw anger? Or would you have played the long, silent, strategic game like I did? If you love these raw, emotional, and intensely satisfying betrayal and revenge stories that feel like real-life Netflix thrillers, stories about trust shattered, lies exposed, and justice served cold, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. We drop a brand new, gripping story every single week that will keep you hooked until the final word. Share this video with anyone who has ever been betrayed by the person they trusted most in the world. Share it with anyone who needs to hear that no matter how deep the knife goes, no matter how perfect the mask looks, the truth always finds its way out, and sometimes it brings powerful justice with it. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this story. Stay sharp, stay fierce, and remember, the best revenge is the one that sets you completely free, while the people who betrayed you lose everything they thought they had stolen from you. I'll see you in the next story.